Hi, guys, and welcome to Real Mummy, the podcast that takes you into the heart of motherhood's most captivating stories. I'm your host, Lucy Dalton, and today we're diving into the whirlwind adventure of being a twin mum. Imagine doubling the nappies, doubling the feedings, and twice the bedtime stories. Our guest today has lived it all, and she's here to share the highs, the lows, and everything in between. From managing the chaos to celebrating the unique bond only twins share. This episode promises laughter, tears, and plenty of special moments. So if you're ready to explore the incredible journey of raising twins, stay tuned. This is one story you won't want to miss. Hi, Lucy. Welcome to Real Mummy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you on. How are the kids? All asleep in bed?
Fingers crossed. Can't hear anything.
Well, that's good. I got my kids to bed. I was trying because I wanted to come out and obviously do the podcast. And literally as I'm doing it, I was like, I'm exhausted. I was like, I don't know how you do it with the twins. You have an extra one, but having two of the same age, my God.
To just all get them down at the same time, and then that's how you do it.
Having multiple kids anyway is hard, but like having two or three of the same age is just like a whole other ball game.
Yeah. I feel like at this point in life, I can say, oh yeah, it's doable. Like if you'd asked me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'd have been like, no, help.
And I suppose that's why it's a good time for you to come on now, because it's for my mums for the mums who are like either just found out they're pregnant or with twins or they've just had them, that, you know, you're the kind of person now to listen to, like, I promise, like it's a season, it gets easier. Like this is for you.
It certainly does. Yeah.
Sure. So tell us a bit. So like how old, obviously I know the twins, they go to school with Maisie. So how old are they? Yeah. And you know, how old's your eldest daughter?
So I've got Harper who's 6 and then May and Spencer are 4. Yeah. So year 1 and kindy.
Oh my God. So then Harper would have been what, 2 when you had the twins?
She just turned 2. Yeah. She was in April and the twins are born end of May. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My God. Because, my youngest was obviously born when Maisie was 1 year and 11 months. And that was hard enough having like a toddler and a newborn. And then I can't imagine having like 2 newborns with a toddler. My God. Like.
And I think just like looking back, we just expected so much of Harper, which is wrong. Like she was 2 at the time. But it's just something that you need help. The 2-year-old will be it.
Yeah, 100%. And they kind of, I find that like the older ones do kind of, as soon as you kind of have these new siblings, it's kind of like they kind of do grow up a bit quicker because they're this big sister or big brother. And it's kind of, you know, they're not the baby anymore, but yeah.
No.
So,
it's like instilled in them so young.
Yeah.
To be this, you know, mummy figure, I suppose, or big sister, big brother. So yeah.
And do you find as well
this is what happens.
Yeah, and being a girl as well. Like, you know, I think girls are a bit more kind of maternal as well, and they want to help with bottles and nappies and all that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like I said, it's just an extra pair of hands.
Yeah.
And I was worried about how she would react having 2 babies in the house and not having the attention like she's had for the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
So we did include her in a lot.
Yeah.
Which looking back now was literal jobs. Like, can you go get the nappies? Or here, can you go put the bottle in the sink? But I mean, hopefully she was okay with that.
But I suppose that's the thing when they're 2.
Scar her for life.
Yeah, but like when they're 2, you know, they kind of like, I think that's the thing, like when you have a closer age gap, we're the same. Maisie didn't really kind of feel pushed out because like she was only 2, she kind of didn't know any different. But I feel sometimes like the longer you leave it, like these kids are 4 and 5 when you have newborns and stuff, siblings, I think they kind of notice it a little bit more, you know, so.
I would agree. Yeah. Maybe they're just too young.
Yeah.
We'll tell ourselves that.
Whatever works. So did you always know there was a possibility that you would have twins? Like, is there twins in your family or was it a complete surprise?
So there is twins in the family on Steve's side. So I'm not sure. I feel like there's so much information around twins and I'm not sure what is right and wrong. I was told fraternal twins was from my side.
Yeah.
Which it's not really along the line. So, and you know what? When we were pregnant with Harper, we joked all the time, like, what if it's twins? And then for some reason, second time around, it wasn't even a thought.
Oh my
We had
God. Yeah.
one friend over like 3 days before, saying that, we're pregnant and that we're going for our scan. And she was like, oh my God, what if it was twins? And I like hadn't even thought it at
Yeah.
that point. And I was
Yeah.
like, sure,
Yeah.
haha. And then, yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
I was like, Gabby, you jinxed me.
Oh my God. So what was that like when you found out you were having twins? Like, is it like the movies where it was the doctor that said, oh, there's two heartbeats, and then you're like, what? And then your husband like faints.
Yeah.
Like, was it that dramatic, or was it just, like, how did it happen though?
Maybe it wasn't that dramatic, but I knew that I was pregnant. So
Yeah.
I had said to my husband, don't worry about coming to the scan. It's fine. And he was like, no, I'll come. I'll bring
second child, second pregnancy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be 10 minutes just finding out when you're due. And that'll be it.
Yeah.
And at the time, the place we went to, my mother-in-law worked at the scanning place. So everyone was super excited, like close family knew, close friends knew.
Yeah.
And then only because I've had ultrasounds, obviously, with Harper,
Yeah.
that I knew what I was looking at. But she put the machine on my tummy and took it off quickly. And I saw the 2 sacs and just thought, must be the last person's ultrasound. And then she just sort of like grabbed my arm and was like, do you have a history of twins? And I was like, is that my stomach? She's like, yeah, you've got twins. And I was like, oh my God. And I just looked at Steve, who at this point was laughing. And I was at that point internally crying, but then I started crying probably 2 minutes later. And Harper freaking out, going like, what's happening?
With a toddler, yeah.
Yeah, who was not liking the fact someone else was touching me. So that was not a fun time. But yeah, it was just like this moment of, and like instantly my brain started going like, well, are we going to fit in the house? Do we have to get bigger cars? Like instantly you just go into this mode of like, oh, how is this going to work? Like the plan was always to have 2 kids. Like that was it.
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah.
So, and then, she was like, go to the toilet, have a bit of time to yourself and we'll come back. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine how that would be. Like Maeve, our youngest, was a surprise baby. We call her a whoopsie baby. She was a surprise baby, and that was enough. It was like, oh, look, only because she was probably a few months earlier than we would have planned anyway. But like literally a whole lot of baby. Like how long did it take you for it to actually like hit it, like kick in, like,
A really long time.
Yeah.
So we left the appointment, and obviously the mother-in-law was working. She's like, oh, how did it go? And I was just like, I'd been crying at the appointment because it was just, I think it was just shock.
Yeah.
It was just
oh God, yeah.
That was not in the plan.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And then, I think I knew a lot of people knew that I was going for this scan, like my close family and friends, and I just didn't want to say anything that day. I was just still processing. And then I think it was just like a few weeks of going backwards and forwards, being like, just the logistics, like, no, can we keep the same car? And yes, children can share rooms.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of that. So it was probably a good couple of weeks. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to have to ask for help, because I felt like I tried so hard with Harp not to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's just what you do, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to have to get some things in place this time around to support me and us.
Yeah.
So I think once I sort of got my head around that, and like, I don't know, I still feel like you have 9 months to prepare, but when it happens, you're like, okay.
It's never long enough. Even when you have one baby in your belly, 9 months you never have enough time. Never. Everyone's like, are you ready for the baby? And I'm like, honestly, no. There's a million other things I need to do, but I'm also tired and growing a human. Like,
Exactly. And just like the logistics of 2 of everything. Like you needed 2 cots.
Yeah.
You needed to have, at that point we needed 3 monitors, because we still had a monitor on for Harper, and the nappies.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, just double everything really. So that was a lot of forward planning.
I can imagine. Yes. That would have taken so long. And obviously you conceived naturally. Is that right?
Yeah. We did.
Do you get like sick of everybody asking if like they were IVF babies or natural babies? Do people ask you that a lot?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's not so much anymore, but when they were little, and even when I was pregnant, people just assumed that they were IVF, which is totally fine. I think that happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it was obviously people who didn't know me.
Yeah.
So I would be like, what does it matter to you?
Yeah, I know.
What if they were IVF? What if they were natural? Like, how does that affect your life?
Exactly.
How my babies were conceived.
And that's the thing. I find that as soon as you've got this baby in your belly, people just like feel like they're just entitled to know everything about your life. Like it's just like,
100%.
it's like you need to sign up. Yep. It's like, don't touch my belly, or it's like, 100%. Don't ask this.
Or for me, it was like, yes, there's 2 in there.
Yeah, I know. And people make that comment and you're like,
huge.
Yes.
I have 2. Oh, do you know what? I wasn't as big as I thought I was going to be, considering I had 2 babies, but only because they were very small. So it's probably just the last few weeks, and by then, like, I'd had enough. So anytime someone's like, "Oh, geez, you're really big, you must be due," I'm like, "Well, yeah, and actually, there's 2 in there. So thank you." But I didn't really mind when like I said, I wasn't that much bigger than I was with Harper, to be honest. I just sat differently.
Yeah, and how was your pregnancy?
All the limbs.
Like, how was their actual really pregnancy? Was it similar, or is it a lot more difficult? Like,
I think it was around 20 weeks when I woke up one day and I literally felt like I couldn't breathe. Like, I could hardly take a breath in.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's happening? Like, I knew that it would have to be something like a baby sitting somewhere, but like, how am I supposed to get up? How am I supposed to attend to Harper?
Yeah.
So I rang my midwife and she was like, one of them's probably sitting in a really bad way, like try laying different ways. And she's telling me over the phone all the things to do. And if it's not better in 2 days, come back and we'll see what we can do. Within a day, it kind of sorted itself out. But I was literally like, this is it. I'm going to have the babies at 20 weeks because I can't breathe.
It's so uncomfortable. So halfway. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. But then it was probably just the last. So we got to 38 weeks, which was our cesarean date that we had planned.
That's fantastic for twins. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I got to 37 weeks and I'd said to Steve, I think you need to stay home this week because I can't do stuff anymore. I can't bend down. I can't.
Well done, you. So. I had both my girls at 38 weeks. They were inductions. Maisie was an induction.
Yeah.
And so was Maeve. And both 38 weeks. But I was only carrying one. So holy hell, woman, superhero there.
Yeah. I sometimes think, like, I wonder how long I would have gone for, because Harper was 41, so I had to be induced with her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, would we have gotten? But then would there have been complications? And that's the reason for the cesarean. It was just as little what ifs for me. It was just, we'll get everyone out. Hopefully everyone will be safe and healthy and fine. And
it was obviously an elective.
That was made probably halfway.
Yeah, and it was obviously an elective cesarean then for the twins.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I had really great support. My wife had sort of said from day one, your body, your choice, do what you want.
100%.
Obviously run the risk of, if you go naturally, having complications, either the first baby or second baby, and ending up in a C-section.
Yeah.
And I just sort of outweighed everything and thought, you know what, let's just book it in. I'd had Harper naturally, so I felt like I wasn't missing out, so to speak. I just felt, why not? And it was the most beautiful experience.
Oh, honestly.
I was so nervous for it, but it was so beautiful.
Oh, I've had friends who've had elective cesareans for different reasons. Recently, one of my friends had a baby who was breech and she wouldn't flip. So she had an elective cesarean and she said it was just they still made it the most beautiful experience. And obviously with Maeve, I had an emergency cesarean, which was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. She ended up flipping while I was about to push. My waters broke. And the doctor had a hand up me, rushing me to theatre, and it was absolutely horrendous. That was my second birth. It was horrible. So that was my experience with the cesarean. And honestly, they actually said to me when she flipped, and they were like, oh, do you want to just go for an elective cesarean, or do you want us to try? And me, I was like, no, try everything, And it was traumatic. There's so much to it. But I've, now look back and I'm like, I wish I would just had this beautiful, it was such a lovely moment. And yeah.
You don't know any different at the time, do we?
Yeah, no, that's true.
What we want.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Heat of the moment then too.
Yeah, I know. Just your adrenaline and your mum knowledge. So those first few months, with twins, what were they like? Like, honestly, I remember when I met you at the kindy orientation and when you're like, oh, they're both mine. I was like, what? And your first instance.
How's that possible?
I know. I was looking, I was like, what? And I was like, your first instance when you meet someone with multiples, it's like, how did they cope? Those newborn days, how did you cope with sleeping, feeding, getting them everywhere, and with a toddler?
I think, to be honest, it was like Groundhog Day every day. It was, and we started it from the hospital. Like, the midwives had said, whatever you know previously doesn't exist, and
Yeah.
whatever you do now is all on you. You
Wow.
do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that was really nice, because with Harper, I felt like I had to breastfeed. There was no dummies. You're
Yeah.
not allowed to sleep train.
Yeah.
So I felt like a lot of that pressure.
Yeah.
And I think it was like night 2, I said to my midwife, how do I stop the other one from waking the other one when they want to feed? And she
Yeah.
was like, where's your dummies? Like, get a
Yeah.
dummy in these
Yeah.
kids. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do dummies. And she's like, nah, you're going to do dummies. I don't care what you do, but you need to just survive these next couple of months.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
did dummies, and that was the best thing ever.
Yep.
But it was just so routine. Like literally from the minute they came out, we fed them together.
Yeah.
We tried to sleep them together. It
Yeah.
was just so that I was almost acting like there was only one baby.
Okay. Yeah.
Did it work all the time? No. But we gave it a really hot crack.
Yeah.
But I had Steve home for, would have been 5 weeks. So those first 5 weeks
Okay.
were
Wow.
just so
That's good.
amazing,
Yeah.
because the first 2 weeks he was up every night doing the feeds with me. And like I said, we did the feeds at the same time. So
Yeah.
one twin woke, we woke the other one and fed, got them down to sleep at the same time. So, and then it got to sort of, the twins are about 2 weeks old, and Steve was like, I've got to go back to work soon. You really need to sort this out on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we did. We just had everything in the bedroom with us, with the babies in the bassinets next to each other. And I don't know, it's a bit of a blur, like trying to remember back.
Yeah. Oh,
I think
I can
a lot of
imagine.
it was just, you're just in autopilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think for me, like the scariest thing was just the logistics. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
anytime I had to go somewhere, like the anxiety would be like, okay, how am I getting them out of the car?
Yeah.
How am I getting them to the place?
Yeah.
Like, the carrier and the pram was just with me all the time.
Yeah.
And if I could get someone else to come with me, even better.
Yeah.
But you just learn that you've got to have arms everywhere.
Yeah. But also doing that with a toddler. And that's the thing. Like, you know, you were doing all that with a toddler. Like, that's so impressive. And
well, I think I praise Harper. Like, she was, and still is, a really good kid in that regard. Like, she's really took on that big sister role very well at such a young age. So she could really understand, oh, look, bribery too. Like at 2, they totally understand. Like, I'll give you a lolly if we can just get to this appointment on time and get through with no one crying. So it was, a lot of bribery, and still is, but that's just life.
Oh my God. So did you bottle feed the twins? Like formula feed or breastfeed?
So and do you know what, second time around, second and third, it was a lot easier breastfeeding, because I think the pressure on yourself was alleviated. Because
100%.
Yeah. You felt the same?
Oh my God. Maisie was the worst breastfeeder. Like, she was terrible, and it was a horrible experience. It was just horrible. And we used to call her Lazy Maisie.
No idea what we're doing.
I know, like Lazy Maisie, because she would just lay there and we're like, just suck on it. And I was like, how hard is it to just feed? And I didn't realize how hard breastfeeding was. And then Maeve, even after the emergency cesarean, she just latched on straight away. No issues. I think, like you said, because that pressure wasn't there, and I had, you know, with your first, you're like, I have to breastfeed, I have to do this, have to do that. But then with your second, you're just like, whatever happens, happens. And she was a natural. Like, it was just, it was lovely.
It was. I mean, and the only downside was because they were so small, I still used like a breastfeeding pillow.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of got to around week 4, and like I knew that Steve was going back to work, and he was at that point helping me put the babies on my boobs, sort of one each.
Yeah.
Literally, how bad does that sound? But yes, that's how it was.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, I'm going to have to figure this out for myself.
Yeah.
And then the midwife had just sort of said, do you know what? Like, if they're taking a bottle at night, because most nights they were taking a bottle because they were too sleepy.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
So we did the bottles, and she was like, just stick to bottles. So it was probably exclusive for around 4 weeks. And then, I mean, in hindsight, I could have just pushed through, but it was just whatever was going to work.
Oh my God. Yeah. Those 4 weeks, like the fact you did it for 4 weeks is incredible. Like, you know, it's hard. Yeah. But even like bottle feeding isn't easy anyway. Like, it's just, everything is hard.
So much cleanup and like the cost of formula.
Yeah.
So and I had a twin feeding pillow, so a sloped pillow. So once I mean, obviously when they were so young, I still had to like sit and hold the 2 bottles in their mouth, or if someone was there, Harper got really good at it, but if I could get someone to do the other baby, it was fine.
Yeah.
And at night time, that's how I'd sort of sit behind them with the 2 bottles. So that was my best friend. Even like as they got older, I'd just let them hop into the pillow and they'd feed themselves. So that was a godsend.
Oh, I've seen
Every
those.
twin mum needs.
I've seen those things with multiple mums, and they look brilliant. Like, so they
Yes.
actually are good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And even when they were really little and you just wanted a safe spot out
Yeah.
of the busyness of the house,
Yep.
it was like a safe sloped for, like, Spencer had reflux, so that was just the perfect angle for him. So
Oh, that's
very
brilliant.
worth the money.
Oh, that's good. So the twins are 4 now. Like, looking back, obviously, like, now you were kind of saying this season is definitely easier, you know, in different ways.
Yeah.
But like, what would you think is, like, if you have to pinpoint the hardest age? Was it like the newborn age, or was it like the toddlers, you know? Like, what to you was probably the hard, looking back, you know?
Yeah, I think about this all the time. It's like one of the most common questions that I get.
Yeah.
Definitely the newborn stage,
Yeah.
because it was still so fresh and so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then I think probably just keeping track once they were all on the go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeping track of 3
Yeah.
was a lot. But probably newborn days, because
Yeah.
you're just in the thick of it and you think it's never going to end.
Yeah.
So you just, yeah, like I said, my brain's kind of tried to tune all that out to not remember any of it.
I think,
but yeah, probably that.
I think it's kind of like we're meant to be like that. Like, I think like that sometimes. I'm like, oh, babies, and like, what a beautiful time. Especially Maisie. Maisie was a terrible newborn, and I look back at pictures, I'm like, oh. And Mark is like, do you seriously not remember how hard? Like, literally,
100%.
we'd go all night. So he's like, do you not remember? I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're wise, so we don't remember, so we keep having babies. You know,
exactly. It is. It just erases our memory and the mum brain. And
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, everything else is disappeared just for that. So
honestly, yeah, no room.
So being a multiple mum, like, it's so special. Like, you know, mums in general, like, it's so special to be a mum, and, you know, no one understands being a mum like a mum, you know, like, so it's so like important. We have mothers groups and we have mum friends, and like, the reason I'm doing this, you know, is so mums can listen and know that, you know, they can kind of relate and listen and be like, oh, like, I'm not the only one with my kids screaming all night, you know, like, you kind of feel like you're in it together. So did you ever reach out to multiple mums? Or have you met any other mums?
Yeah,
or
so I think it was probably in the very early stages of finding out twins. And I can't remember who suggested, but I just sort of went on Facebook and typed in multiple mums. And there's several groups. One that's like Australian based, one that's WA based. And they were just amazing. Like, for the first few weeks, I just sort of sit there and read all the posts. And like, okay. Like, and you'd see every mum in a different season of twins. So that was really nice. You'd see the ones who were fresh in it, ones who were like, my twins are 13, life's fab. Like, you got to get past this. So that was really great. And at the time, Bunbury actually had a local twin group. So I did sign up to that, and we did go to those like little catch-ups. I think it was monthly. And that was really great as well. And I still see and talk to a few of the mums around, and yeah, it's like your own like little secret club, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you said, like any mum, I feel like, even like when I had Harper, I was like, oh, you're a mum too.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Like, how special are we?
Yeah.
And then when you meet a twin mum, you're like, oh, I salute you. Like, I can feel you. I know what you're going through. Yeah.
And that's what you need. So sometimes you just need someone else.
Yeah.
It is so important.
Yeah.
So you'd recommend like another mum listening to this, if they're just about to have twins or triplets or quads, or you would recommend 100% to try and reach out to another multiple mum?
Definitely. Yeah. And like I said, you just see these multiple mums in different seasons, and it's just a relief. You know that you're not alone, and things do get better. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. Oh, that's so good. So you were mentioning before, obviously Harper's like, you know, she's 6 now. Do you think like she's kind of has started to notice, you know, like, or kind of miss that she doesn't have that kind of twin bond?
Definitely. Probably in the last year, I would say. Like, she notices things like, so about a year ago, I remember her saying she didn't want to go to bed by herself. And I'm like, looking at her bed that's covered in toys. Like, hun, you're not alone. Like, there's a lot of things in here. She's like, no, but Maya and Spencer go to bed, and they've got each other. You and Dad go to bed together, and then there's just me.
Oh, my heart. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Like, that sucks. And then even now, like, if one of the twins is hurt, the other twin will be like right there comforting them. Yeah. And then Harper will run over too, because it's just her natural instinct. Yeah. And they'll be like, no, I don't want you. And she'll be like, they don't want me. So she does see that, I think. Yeah. So I don't know how to navigate that. It may be
Yeah.
just something.
I think it's
Because I
just one
do
of the
talk
things. Yeah.
to other families who've got like a singleton, they call them,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
multiples
singleton.
or
Yeah.
whatever way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, awful. And they said that like it's just how it is.
Yeah.
I've talked to like people who have been that singleton, and I've said like, how has that affected you? And they're just like, it's just a fact of life. Like
Yeah.
twins just have this bond,
Yeah.
and it's just you can't break that.
Oh,
You can't change it.
100%. Like me and my sister are so close. Like there's just under 3 years between us and we're so close. And I still wished for a twin because you see this twin bond, you know, and like I was so close. It was just me and my sister, but you still see these bonds, you know, this twin sister, and it's the most special bond, you know, but like obviously she's so blessed to still have like a brother and a sister. But yeah, like I can imagine that would be hard to see, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. And we do still try and have like just half a days where it's either one of us
Mm-hmm.
or she'll go with her nan, or, you know, like we just have special half a time.
Yeah.
And being that little bit older too, we kind of let her do a bit more than we would let the twins.
Yeah.
And she does things that they don't know about.
Yeah.
I hope that's enough. So
I'd say so, definitely. So, but yeah. So what do you think, honestly, like looking back over the years, what is your like even now, like what is the hardest part about being a multiple mum?
just dividing your time
Yeah.
between everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you have, like, I mean, you same with just two kids. Like, someone will call for you, then the other person calls for you. And I feel like I'm constantly like, wait your turn.
Yeah.
Just you were first. You speak, and it's just this constant like.
Yeah.
I would hate to be my neighbours because like it's not even the screaming and the crying. It's just the hang on, wait a minute, like just dividing yourself.
Yeah.
Like I do not know how mums who have more than 3 kids do it. Like. I feel like my last Kaylee with 3. Like, how do people have 5 and more?
I always say that when I see these mums pull up at school when they got 4 or 5, and I'm like, you are the real superheroes of society. Like, seriously.
Yeah. I just don't know how you can, like, and you just, sometimes at the end of the day, you just feel so exhausted because you've just had every single person at you, which is totally normal and totally fine.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it's exhausting.
I'm exhausted.
It's absolutely exhausting. And that's the thing, I suppose, like, and that's like, dividing your time, like that's that's probably been the hardest throughout the whole thing, like newborn toddlers now, like it's, you know, like that's just something like, you know, like, and it's just mums are expected to be able to just juggle all these balls, and sometimes you do feel like you're just juggling all these balls and plates and you're just like waiting, it's like, hold on, like one more thing, I just had another one in there.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I can't see it getting easier because they're only going to get busier with sports.
More demanding.
Like, we're really encouraging sports that are at the same time and at the same place.
Clever.
Don't know if that's even going to work, but
it's worth a try. It's worth the try. I'm trying to encourage sports indoors so we don't have all of these netball winter carnivals
running around
that I made my parents do. Lay the groundwork now. So
plant the seeds.
Yeah, exactly. Start now. I'm sure it'll backfire, but you know, we can try.
We can try.
So my other mamas who've got the twins, like honestly, your favorite part about being a multiple mum?
I think seeing the twin bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like when they were babies, you obviously don't see it. They have no idea that each other exists. So I think like I look back at even now, like the videos of them when they first sort of realized that they existed. I was like, that is so cool. Like literally, like, I mean, you know, they don't look anything alike and they're boy and girl, but just see this little connection between the two of them is so cute. So, and I don't think they'll lose it because I mean, I did feel that when I first found out they were pregnant, when I was pregnant with twins, I instantly was like, oh my gosh, are they identical? Because how cool would that be? Yeah. But then afterwards I thought about it and I was like, no, identical would be so hard because like, A, how do you tell them apart?
Yes.
And 2, is there always a competition between you know, rivalry? Like if there's 2 boys, are they going to fight over who's the better athlete or the better this? And so I like the fact that they're boy and girl. I feel like I can kind of keep them very separate.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they still have their different personalities, like you said, and different friends, and they are still different, you know, instead of like just treating them as like one person, you know?
Yeah. So I do like the fact that they are fraternal and completely different.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So you're a seasoned mum, 3 kids,
set of twins, and you always look so well put together. I was telling my husband, honestly, you do. I see you at the school gates, and you wouldn't think you have twins. No, you wouldn't think you have twins. You always look so together. You're never rushing anywhere. People would think when you got someone twins, you're just rushing everywhere. You don't. You just, you seem so calm, and yeah, it's brilliant. And your kids are just so beautiful. They are beautiful, beautiful children. Like they really, really are. Like Maisie, my eldest, I think has a bit of a crush on your Spencer. So as we know, so yeah. Absolutely so sweet.
Smooth man already.
I know. Surrounded by women. So
yeah, true that.
So all your seasoned advice, like for another mum listening, what advice would you give to another mum now about having twins?
I think the biggest thing is like there's seasons. Everything has seasons. There's phases, there's sleep regressions, and you have it times two, but it passes. And like I said, I'm at I wouldn't say at the end of it, obviously, but at the year 4 mark, 4 years of age, you can look back and go, yeah, we survived. Like, it's all right. But like I said, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, I don't know how I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So you do. You just, everything passes. It gets easier. Use your support networks. So whether that be family, I mean, for me, I spoke to my midwife a lot about postnatal depression that I had with Harper. So I said, well, what can I put in place for the twins? Because I'm 100% going to have struggles. So she put me in touch with like Red Cross, who came once a week.
Oh, wow.
Helped around the house. So like if you know that that's going to be an issue for you, like put things in place in the early stages or whilst you're pregnant so that it's not so overwhelming when they're here. And those things then you can enjoy a lot more too, like having that support around. You can look back on those moments and actually enjoy it.
Enjoy your babies, so
it goes quick. I think, anyone can say that it goes quick, but when you've got two, it's literally like it's on fast forward.
Oh my God. And that's the thing. I feel like, we put so much pressure on ourselves, to try and do everything. And, but like it is at the end of the day. That's why I love talking about motherhood, because everything is a season. And, like I'm the same. I've got a 2 and a 4-year-old, and like the 2-year-old, it's not a great season, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not so great. It's a different kind of hard to the newborn, but that's the whole point. It's a season, and it's just, and I love that you said that, because it just kind of makes you realize that, like for these mums out there who are struggling, if they've just had twins, like it's not like that forever. And it's so refreshing you to come on and just be like, I promise it gets easier,
Yeah. Honestly, like there is light at the end.
Yeah. Love it. So my last question for you is hindsight is such a fantastic thing, we all, especially as mums, like we all think we should be doing everything we should be doing. And, we put so much pressure on ourselves and, but like, honestly, we need to be kinder to ourselves. Like if you could go back for you and when you just found out you were having twins or when you've just had them, what would you say to yourself?
I think it would be like, it's going to get easier.
Yeah.
Don't fret over the small things, the logistics.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got this.
You've got this. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You can do this. And that's the thing, like when you see other twin mums and you're like, well, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And it's literally just like, you can do this, you can do it. Like mums are superheroes. We really, really are. Like, we're really superheroes. And like if anyone can do it, it's us. And but I feel like we should need to be kinder to ourselves. And we go back and, don't put so much pressure on ourselves.
I mean, you talk to even mums who have just one and like the pressure they put themselves in, and the mums who have 5, and you just think like, we do. We just put too much time. Like you said, the plate juggling, like it's literally like one day they're going to come crushing. So you just got to keep them up in the air somehow.
Keep juggling
around it.
Yeah. So if my mamas out there who are listening, find that support network. If that's you and you're pregnant, find that support network. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And even if you're not a multiple mum and you're a new mum or you've got a baby, like doesn't mean you can't ask for help yourself. Like being a mum is hard work. Whether you've got 1, 2, 4, 10 kids, it's hard. So. And that's why we all need to stick together and,
Oh, definitely. And I think that's the best thing about now with social media. Like, I think back to like our mums, they didn't have any of that.
No,
So their
no.
struggles were alone. So that's, I
Yeah.
feel like we're breaking that cycle in talking about how we can support each other
Yeah.
and, you know, the things that are hard, we could admit these are hard. This is hard. I'm
Exactly.
struggling. Whereas, you know, 20, 30 years ago, it was just taboo to talk about how hard things were. So
I know I was telling my mum
yeah,
that about
I feel
mums
like it's,
groups. Yeah, like nowadays I was saying like, you know, like I met some mums who were struggling with sleep and she was like, oh, like no one talked about that. We'd go to mums group and it was just like, no, my baby's sleeping. Mine's not. I was like, oh, it's not like that now. And that's what I love. It's like women are kind of banding together. I'm like, do you know what? Actually motherhood is hard. Like it's really hard. And, you know, like it doesn't mean we love it any less, but then we just, sometimes you just want, you know, just someone to acknowledge like, yeah, like it's a hard thing to do, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on, Lucy, and
You.
sharing your experience and being a multiple mum, and you're doing a great job. And
Lovely.
it's amazing. It's
Thank
so
you.
refreshing and amazing to see. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Real Mummy podcast. Remember, every mum's journey is unique and you are doing an amazing job. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out on new episodes released every week. Head over to our website at www.realmummypodcast.com to stay up to date with the latest episodes and dive into our recent blog articles filled with even more mum wisdom and stories. We absolutely love connecting with our listeners, so don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Real Mummy Podcast. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of our supportive mum community. And I'd love to hear from you. Got a topic you want covered? Know a guest you'd love to hear more from? Reach out to us through our website or social media. Your input is invaluable and helps us create the content that matters to you. Thank you for being part of the Real Mummy podcast family. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind to yourself, and remember, you're never alone on this journey. You've got this.